All right, let's jump right in. We're talking about a massive shift in how we interact with, well, everything. With tech, with businesses, with brands. It's this move from our keyboards to our voices. And believe me, it's happening way faster than you probably think. This is all about how your brand can stop just being seen and actually start being heard.
You see this? This is pretty much the sound of modern commerce, isn't it? It's such a simple question, but it's the kind of thing millions of people are asking their smart devices every single day. And that's the key, right? It's not some robotic search query. It's the start of a real conversation.
And this? Well, this is exactly why you have to pay attention. We're not talking about some future trend here. We are way past the tipping point. Think about that. Half of all searches online are now done by voice. This is the reality right now, especially in mobile-first countries with tons of different languages. And it means if you're not optimized for voice, you're basically invisible to half of your potential customers. Just gone.
Okay, so how are we going to break all this down? Here's the plan. First, we'll cover what this voice revolution actually is. Then we'll look ahead at the key trends for 2025 you absolutely need to know. After that, we get practical, how to build your own voice strategy. We'll see some real-world examples of it in action, and then we'll wrap up with what your brand's next move should be.
All right, part one, the voice revolution begins. Let's really get a handle on what we mean when we talk about this shift from typing to talk. So what is voice AI marketing at its core? It's really about this, using those AI-powered assistants, Alexa, Google Assistant, Siri, but using them to have real conversations with people, to answer their questions, to recommend products, but to do it all naturally, in a way that feels genuinely helpful.
Okay, so we know what it is, but what's even more important is where it's going. Let's dive into the major forces that are shaping the future of voice, things you really need on your radar for 2025.
And what's so interesting is how all these trends kind of feed off each other. You've got voice search just exploding, not just globally, but locally, especially in smaller cities and towns. At the exact same time, the AI is getting so much smarter, giving you these hyper-personalized experiences based on what it knows about you. And of course, this opens up a whole new world for advertising, with things like sponsored prompts becoming a reality.
I mean, this is the perfect example of that personalization, right? Alexa, ask Starbucks to start my order. Think about how much friction that removes. You don't have to find your phone, open an app, tap through a bunch of menus. Nope. Just one simple sentence and your usual coffee is already being made. That's the kind of seamless, amazing experience that voice makes possible.
All right, so this all sounds amazing in theory, but the big question is, how do you actually do it? How do you get started? This next part is all about the practical stuff, a guide to building your strategy and making sure your brand gets heard.
Okay, the very first thing you have to wrap your head around is this huge difference right here. When we type, we use shorthand, right? We type SEO Tools India. But we don't talk like that. We speak in full sentences, we ask full questions, like, what are the best SEO tools to use in India? So if you want to win at voice, you have to optimize for how people actually talk.
And here's the simple 3-step playbook for how you do it. First, you've got to find those voice-style keywords, the actual questions people are asking. A great place to look is the People Also Ask section on Google. Second, write your content to answer those questions in natural human language. And third, you use some technical magic called schema markup. It basically helps search engines find your answers and serve them up in voice results.
And creating a consistent brand voice is absolutely critical. Just look at this breakdown. For text, you might have longer sentences, maybe detailed paragraphs. But for voice, nope. It has to be one single, clear thought per sentence. The vocabulary needs to be conversational. The personality has to come through in a warm, clear tone. It's about adapting everything you do from the page to the ear.
Okay, enough with the theory. Let's look at the actual, real-world results. What kind of impact are voice strategies having right now in some major industries?
So first up, let's talk about the big one, e-commerce. You've got giants like Flipkart and Amazon India going all in on this. They're letting customers find products, reorder their favorites, check on a delivery, all just by using their voice.
And check out these numbers, because they make a really powerful business case.
First, checkouts are 20% faster. That makes sense, right? Less friction. But look at that second bar. This is the real game changer. A 35% increase in the average order value when voice assistance is involved. That is a massive, massive return on investment.
And it's not just about buying stuff. Look at healthcare. Voice is making essential services so much more accessible. Imagine being able to schedule an appointment or get a reminder to take your medication without ever having to pick up the phone.
And this is the kind of real-world efficiency we're talking about. Just by using simple AI voice reminders for appointments, some healthcare providers have cut down on patient no-shows by a huge 27%. That saves everyone time, it saves money, and it ultimately leads to better care.
And finally, let's touch on finance. Banks, like HDFC for example, are now using voice assistants to handle a lot of the common customer questions. This frees up their human support staff to deal with the more complicated problems.
But this is where things get really cool and innovative. Yeah, you can check your account balance, that's useful, but the truly transformative piece is voice biometries. Think about it. Your voice literally becomes your password. It's way more secure and so much faster than trying to remember that password with the capital letter, the number, and the special character you always forget.
Okay, we've covered what it is, why it's so important, and we've seen it in action. So for this final section, let's bring it all home. We're going to talk about your brand's next move, what you should be doing, and just as important, what you should definitely not be doing.
So let's finish up with some common mistakes to avoid because these can really trip you up. First, please do not just read your website copy out loud for a voice script. It just doesn't work. Pay really close attention to regional languages and different accents. And this is a big one. Actually listen to how your AI assistant sounds. Track your results so you know what's working. And finally, make sure your voice experience is connected to all your other marketing, not just some random experiment off to the side.
Look, I know this can all feel a little overwhelming, but if there's one thing you take away from all this, let it be this. You don't have to start big. You don't have to boil the ocean. The best way to get going is to just start small. Pick one common question and write one voice script. Train one assistant, and then monitor that one result. Learn from it, and then build from there.
So the shift from a world we see to a world that listens, it's not coming, it's already here. The tech is ready, the audience is definitely ready, and the opportunity for brands is absolutely huge. So I'll leave you with this one final thought. In a world that's listening, is your brand ready to be heard?